Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to talk about fabric flowers, how to make them, and then how to apply them to different garments like t-shirts, tank tops, and dresses. This is a great technique. It's super easy, and it really adds a very nice, delicate detail to a variety of items that you create. So let's jump on over to my sewing area, and I'll show you how to create and add those items to your garments. To create fabric flowers, you're going to need the following supplies. The fabric to make the flowers out of, and we have a lightweight knit here. There's also some examples of a mesh and a tulle type fabric, which are also a lightweight stretch knit fabric. Then you're going to need your shirt, t-shirt, tank top, dress, any garment that you want to add the flower to, thread, a hand sewing needle, and a tiny pair of embroidery scissors. And these scissors right here are 4-inch Ginger scissors. I love these ones. They're super sharp and they cut really close to the fabric and snip the threads very nicely. So to start, you're going to cut your strips of fabric on the bias. And you can see here by how I have this laid out that this fabric has been cut diagonally across the middle. So the selvage edge is over here. So this is your 90-degree angle from the cut of the fabric and the selvage. So then you will just lay your ruler diagonally across that to get your strips. And then we've cut these strips about 3/8 inch wide. And we have a couple here so you can just see how those are cut. To begin creating your fabric flowers, you're going to need to cut each strip into 6-inch pieces. So these are now cut 6 inches long. Then you're going to thread a needle and tie a knot at the end. Then we're going to take each strip and sew a running stitch along the bottom edge. This is about 1/8 of an inch up from the edge. And you're just going to gently go back and forth and guide that running stitch all the way along the edge of the strip. And you can kind of let it scrunch up because you are going to gather it. So here I am down at the end, and I'm just going to scrunch that up. I'm actually just going to pull my needle through the whole thing. And you can see that I have a running stitch in here, but I'm just pulling it to gather it up. So now I have my strip gathered up, and this is just about 3 inches long. And then I'm going to go ahead and start rolling this back over itself to create the flower. So since this is my end, I'm just going to kind of fold it at an angle, and I'm going to do my first stitch right back into this, which will just secure my gathering anyway. I'm going to pull that in, and then I'll pull back up through, and it's kind of like tying a knot at the end of my gathers. Then I'm simply going to take this piece and I'm just going to turn it and roll it back over itself. And every few turns, I'll just poke through the whole base of the flower and pull my thread tight. And then I'll just keep doing that as I go. Just keep turning it. And then just poke through the base every couple turns. And here's the top of that. You can see that scrunching up. So we're just going to keep rolling that around. And then I'm just going to go through the base of the flower. And then I'll also go around the whole thing. So I kind of will almost be like looping it to make sure that I have the whole bottom all caught together. And then you can look at the top of your flower and decide if this is full enough or the size that you wanted, and you can kind of press it open and it creates a little bit bigger flower. You can also hold all of this up and take your scissors and cut right into it if you want a little bit smaller flower or more consistent edges on all of it, and it's fine as long as you're not cutting through any of the threads. So once we have a flower that we like, I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure that I have a knot down here at the bottom. Then I'm gonna grab my shirt and I'm gonna determine my placement, and I want this just below the shoulder. So I'm just gonna take this flower and I'm gonna set it right down there. And I'm just gonna sew a few stitches through the flower into this neckline edge of the shirt. And just make sure that I have this sewn down really well. And then if you want your flower petals to be more open, you can always go into it and secure a few of them down from the underside. And this will look the best if your thread is the same color as your flower. You can see here we have a little bit of white thread showing, but that's just for illustration. Now another thing that you can do is come right up through the center of the flower like that, and then you can secure it really well with a nice knot in the middle. You could also take a really tiny little button embellishment and put that right on the center and have that sewn down right into the middle of your flower. Like that, and then we'll tuck that inside. And then to finish it off, we're just gonna knot right on the back. Now, if you wanted to, you could also secure your knot under the petals so it was less noticeable, but that's a pretty small knot, so I think we're fine. And then from the front, we can go ahead and just kind of spruce up our flower a little bit, and you can see there that that button gets kind of like tucked down to the inside. So that's a cute little embellishment on that like that. Now I'm thinking with the pink we can tie in a little bit more pink by doing this mesh as either a second flower right above it, or even just one simple gathered petal row underneath this one. But I'm just gonna go ahead and put a running stitch in this one, and then we'll gather up a second little tiny flower. So this mesh fabric was also 6 inches to start with, and I've scrunched it down to about 1 inch. It's pretty thin and fine, so it scrunches up a lot tighter. And I've gone ahead and tied a little knot right here just to hold it. And then I'm just gonna spin this one around to create a second flower. So I'll just sew a few stitches into the bottom and then turn it as I go. And I'm just going around the bottom. I have it all scrunched up, so I'm just creating as tight of a flower as I can for this one. I've got a little part here that's hanging off, so I'm just going to tuck this back in. And then we have a little light pink mesh flower, and I'm just going to go and tuck that right next to this one. So I have this here, and I'm just going to poke that through to the back side. So here you can see the finished little flowers, and we have the darker purple pink color and then this light pink, and the two work together well by adding that secondary embellishment inside that darker flower, so it kind of pulls the pink in there, and they both complement each other nicely, and it's a cute added addition to this little tank top. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and you're able to take these techniques and apply them to some of your own garments.